Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited for today's video. We haven't done a project tour for a while, and today I've got one of my best ever projects that we've worked on. We've been working on this project for 3 years. It's a really grand apartment in London, and today I'm going to be showing you the entrance hall, the living room, dining room and kitchen, and it is really special. So come on inside. Before we start and I show you around what the entrance hall looks like now, I want to do a quick flashback to what it was like when we first started this project so you can fully appreciate the changes that have happened. First thing we did was we designed this incredible floor. I think the floor in an entrance hall is so important, but especially in this entrance hall, you can see it's very long and quite narrow. So what we wanted to do with this was have a marble floor that was going to feel really grand. We've lined up each section of the marble detailing on this floor within the archways. So you can see as you go down the hall, there's multiple arches and it creates little mini rooms within the hallway. In this first little section, we have a seating area. And the other thing we've tried to do is we've staggered the furniture. As you look down the hall, you'll see there isn't furniture opposite furniture, so that would make the room feel much smaller. But instead in each section, it zigzags across and it changes between upholstery and then the console in the middle. Here we really wanted to create a space where there was a little seating area. It makes it feel much more inviting, and it's also the perfect spot for sitting down, taking your shoes off. I love the traditional vibe in this property. You're going to notice it's very different from anything you've seen in our portfolio before, and this really sets the tone for what you're going to see throughout the rest of the apartment. This is a custom bench that we had made. We had it extra narrow, so although it's very comfortable, it's not too wide for the space. And then on either side, we've flanked that with 2 antique tables. This has a beautiful burr walnut finish. We've used a lot of antiques in this project, and I've absolutely loved the opportunity to use so many antiques. Not all clients like them, but it's such a great way of using your budget because you get a lot more higher quality furniture for your money, and I think it just adds a really nice layered feel to your property. Practicality and storage is so important in an interior. If you don't create space for your clients to put things away, it's never going to look beautiful. So here, this was one of our most successful changes we created in this apartment. You can see the archway that goes around this joinery is an original feature, and we weren't allowed to touch that, nor did we want to. It ties in with all the archways that you got going down the hallway. But what we did want to do was add a little coat cupboard. So we've enclosed this area. Originally this was an archway that you walked through. So we've stolen some space from the dressing room behind, and if you peek around here, you can see we've created just enough depth to have a forward-facing hanging rail for your coats and space for your shoes. When it comes to styling, we absolutely love doing styling at SPI, and we've done some custom cushions here. I love this beautiful silk velvet fabric that we've used on the cushion here. We've done lots of different trims. It's all about the detailing. Again, there's some beautiful trim on the Roman blinds, and we picked this one specifically to work with the ceiling. If you see, the ceiling has a really intricate design, and interestingly, this particular part of the ceiling was not original. When we get down further down the hallway, you'll see the original ceiling design that was there. This one was completely plain, so we had it replicated and continued it across the hall, and it feels like it's always been here. Repetition is a great thing to use in your design. You don't want to repeat too many things, but with these lanterns, for example, it makes it so much more dramatic. And you can see there's a lantern in each section of the ceiling, and it really draws your eye into the property and leads you down the hallway. The wall covering here is a beautiful silk wall covering. You can see it's got vertical threads that run through, and it really picks up that detail in the light. And we've done some wall lights here, again, just to mix up the lighting. We want all different layers of light. We worked with John Cullen on this project to do the lighting design, and that's something that we really love to do because they just bring an extra dimension to what we do with our interior design. In a project like this, it's particularly important because you're working with a Grade 2 listing. You can't just do the lighting however you want. You've got to make sure you don't disturb the original fabric of the building. So in here we have the light fittings where there were light fittings before. We're allowed to put wall lights in, but then we've also added uplighters in the floor which highlight each of the archways and make it feel much more dramatic. So this console is a really slim piece, but we've gone quite grand on the detailing, so it feels very substantial without taking much space. And above here, you can see we just have this painting lying here. We wouldn't normally have a painting lying here, But as you know, I like to keep it real on this channel, and our clients have just come this afternoon, so we had some pieces of art that we'd selected for them to approve. This one hasn't been approved yet, so we can't hang it, but I think it would work really well. And when it comes to artwork, we love to use lots of different styles, but what appealed to us about this particular painting was that it brought in the nature, and you'll see that's a theme that runs throughout this project. This property is located near one of the best parks in London, and so we wanted to bring lots of natural imagery through into the project. And the framework works beautifully with the gold picked out in the wall lights. Just to give you an insight into what's happening, I don't even know how many people from our team we've got here today, but I think it's about 10. We also have Ray Main photographing the project. We're trying to get everything done because the client moves in tomorrow, and we do not want to get in their way whilst they're moving in. And so this is part of the reality of interior design. You don't necessarily get to have everything finished and perfect. The clients really want to be involved in the process, and so that does take a little bit longer, but I like to show the reality of interior design to you guys. In this area of the hallway, we've repeated some more upholstery. Again, it gives some softness to the space. There's a lot of hard finishes in here with the marble and all the architectural features that it's important to get some upholstery that's going to absorb that noise and also just make it feel a bit more inviting. I love this fabric. I think it's a London and Surrey wool, but it just tones so beautifully with the flooring and it feels really classic. It's almost like some tailoring that you'd find on Savile Row. When it comes to styling a space like this, you don't need to put too many objects, you just want to pick a few beautiful ones. So we have some preserved moss in this beautiful textured bowl, and we picked that because it worked really well with the grill on the radiator grill below. And then for the bench, obviously this is quite a big area of upholstery, so we've broken that up with a throw. This one's from Co's, and a tray. This one's from our collection with Addison Ross, and then just a placed leather book to break that up. It just gives a suggestion of how you might use the space. As you progress down the entrance hall, we've got a different change in floor height. So we've clad all the stairs in marble, and I love how John Cullen have put a little tiny, I think they call this their Lucchini light, and it just highlights the staircase beautifully. It's so important to get the temperature correct with lighting. I believe all the lighting here is 2700 Kelvin, which for me is the perfect temperature. It's still bright, it feels like natural light, it doesn't change the colours of your fabrics, but it also feels warm and inviting. Before we move down to the bottom section of the hall, I just wanted to show this to you. This is actually a hidden door, which we call a jib door, and it goes through to a little secret hidden bedroom down below. But we didn't want to interrupt all the panelling, so we've replicated the same design of the panelling and added the silk wallpaper onto the door as well. At the end of the hallway, we reach this lobby area, which is really the living area of the apartment. So in front of me, we've got the entrance to the guest loo. Here we have the dining room, living room and kitchen, and we really wanted to create this kind of receiving area in this space. It's obviously a bit wider, and we had some room to put some furniture. And so this piece of furniture here is a custom chest of drawers, or at least that's what it looks like, but what it really is a air conditioning unit behind. So you can see we've got marble worktop, and there's all these little grills cut into the marble, which allows all the air conditioning to circulate around the room. The client loves traditional design, so we've designed this to look like an antique. Above that, we've done a really tall mirror just to emphasize the ceiling height, and we've dressed it with a beautiful blue and white lamp, which coordinates beautifully with all their chinoiserie collection that they've got in the cabinet behind me. We've gone for a pattern shade on here, which might feel too much, but when you see it's this gathered shape, it really diffuses the pattern on it, and it ties in nicely with the wallpaper. This is some of the client's original artwork, which they've sourced on their travels. And then we found these beautiful antique chairs, and this has a really nice story behind it. We found a matching pair of antique chairs. We had them reupholstered in this beautiful golden fabric, and the clients actually used these in their wedding ceremony last year. So we managed to get them done really, really quickly in time for their wedding, and now they have this beautiful memento that reminds them of that magical day as they enter into their living room. We have this beautiful cabinet that we designed. It's got an arch top, which we designed specifically to work with all the arches that you see in the hallway. And it's been designed to house their chinoiserie collection. So you can see they've got all their vases, some photo frames with beautiful accent lighting on each of the pieces. And then underneath, we've created some additional storage, so they have room to put all their knickknacks. This isn't the biggest kitchen that we've designed, but it's one of the hardest working. The client's brief for this space was that they really wanted to have a beautiful, bright white kitchen. At the same time, they have a love of dark, rich coloured woods, and so they wanted us to combine the two, and I absolutely love the result. It's quite an unusual design. I've not seen anything like this before, but let's take a closer look. So as you walk in, the first thing you see is these glazed cabinets. I love how it's got the reader glass, which diffuses the view of what's inside slightly. And we've added some LED strip lights at the back, so it just gives a lovely glow to all the crystal glass that we've got inside. This wood tones really beautifully with the rest of the apartment, so although we want each room to have its own identity, you also want to have a cohesive thread that runs throughout the design, and it all feels like it should be in the same space. You can see we've done this rail along the top, and the reason why we've done that is because this room has huge ceiling height, and we really wanted to maximise that, not only because it makes the room feel bigger, but also it gives you so much more extra storage. So to access all those cupboards at the back, we've done a custom ladder, which you can see over here, and this just clips off of the rail, and then you can take it to wherever you need in the room. And it also has a stand behind the door where you can store it when it's out of use, but it's really sturdy and a great way to access all that extra storage that you need. On this side of the kitchen, we have the sink area. The clients wanted a really big, oversized sink, and this is a stainless steel sink inside, but just to make it feel a bit more luxurious and traditional, we created the illusion of it being a butler sink by just having the Neolith worktop go down to the bottom of the sink, so it makes it feel a bit more in keeping with the rest of the design. We've mixed up this type of storage here, and the main reason why we did that is because behind me you can see we've got this lovely bay window, and what we didn't want to do was block out any of that light. If we'd gone for cupboard doors, they probably would have projected a bit further and it would have felt like the room was coming in quite a bit. So by keeping that storage open, it gives a greater feeling of space. We've dressed those with some wicker baskets and different plates. With all open storage, you do need to be mindful of being very organised and make sure that you style it beautifully, otherwise it can look quite cluttered. We've also got things like a pull-out bin here, and on this side we have some concealed microwave. Couldn't find a microwave that worked with the design in here, so by putting it behind these glazed doors was a great way to disguise it. You can see we went for a darker colour microwave because it blends in with the wood that we've got behind, so you don't notice it so much when the doors are closed. And then underneath we have a hot water cooker tap. When it came to the worktop, the clients are really keen cooks, and so we needed to make sure the surface was practical, but we also wanted it to be beautiful. So we settled on this Neolith design, which is a completely different colour from anything we've used before. Again, I love how it has like those really soft greens with some of the tan brown colours coming through. And when you see the dining area with the soft furnishings, you can see we've picked those colours out. The cooker itself, they wanted to have a gas top, and we wanted to keep it quite a traditional look, so we settled on this design. Because it's quite a small space, we were limited on which brands we could look at, but I think it's worked out beautifully. And then we combined that with this cooker hood, which we designed custom. This is actually a spray lacquer paint finish, and then we've done antique brass trim on it, and I think it looks really effective. We've flanked that with some storage on either side. This is a perfect place to put your spices and oils, and then above we wanted to have some open space, and then we've kept that for just decorative objects like the faux flowers. They're from Wildwood, London. We've got some lovely white pots. It's quite nice mixing some lighter colours in there so that it sort of ties in with the white kitchen cabinets. I love a dining space in a kitchen, and even though this kitchen was quite compact, we wanted to make sure there was a space for our clients to eat. And the way we overcame the space issue that we were facing in here was doing a banquette seating. By putting this into the bay window, it really frees up a lot of floor space. And then we're able to combine that with a custom bistro table, so it doesn't take up too much room, but it's a lovely spot to sit, have your breakfast, have a coffee, and you get all the gorgeous natural light pouring in. You can see with the fabrics that we've chosen, this is a performance fabric from Perennials. You have to be really mindful of fabrics in kitchens because obviously it's a space where it might get food spilt onto it. So we wanted to make sure that was really practical. And then we've got some beautiful cushions that pick out the colours in the rest of the room. So this green ties in with the green on the Neolith worktop. And we've got different contrasting patterns on the fabrics. And then I love the Roman blinds. I think that's a Mark Alexander fabric. So interesting, and it kind of works really well with all the wicker baskets you've got in the open shelving. Styling in kitchens is one of those rooms that's really overlooked. I think people think because it's a practical space you don't need to think about styling and accessories, but I couldn't disagree more. In here we've just done a few select pieces of accessories that really finish it off beautifully. So first of all we have this faux plant in the window, and you can see the vase and the colours of the foliage pick out all the colours in the room. It's so nice to have some greenery in here. I'm the kind of person that kills real plants really quickly, so I'm a big fan of faux plants. And then just little details like, even if you're not redoing your whole kitchen, having some linen napkins with the green is just such a nice touch. We've done the client's initials here, and I love how that coordinates with all the rest of the colours in the room. Welcome to the living room. So now we're in the living room, which is the biggest and best room in this whole property, certainly in my opinion. I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to bring Vanessa, who was the lead designer on this project. Channel regulars may remember Vanessa from some of the project tour videos. She's a hit with the audience, and I'm really happy to have her back. So Vanessa, come on down.
Hi Sophie.
Hi Vanessa. So we've been busy today, haven't we? Shooting, photographing, doing the finishing touches. What has been the project highlight for you?
I think the project highlight has been incorporating so many traditional elements into the space and taking inspiration from the beautiful architecture and kind of grandeur of these flats, and having such tall ceilings and beautiful moldings. And then our clients also loved antiques, so being able to source some special antique pieces is always a dream for designers.
I've wanted to do artwork on chains for so long, we finally managed to do it. Talk to us a little bit about these pieces and what you think works so well.
Yeah, well, the clients found these pieces on a recent trip. They're of Hong Kong and India, so very important places for the clients, and they wanted to display them and kind of mix their backgrounds together. And what we love is that since the ceilings are so high in the space, the kind of chains and the rod across the top really, take advantage of that height. And then with each piece, we were able to put these picture lights in, which just lights them up beautifully, especially when it's dark outside. It really highlights their pieces that are important to them.
This is such a special piece, and this was custom made for the project. It's from Jam, and it was one of their signature styles, but then we asked them to customize the carving because the client loves to have really intricate carving, so we really ramped that up.
The fireplace needed to be grand, and proportionally makes so much more sense in the space.
This chandelier was custom made for our client's specific brief, but we had a lot of sleepless nights over it, didn't we, Vanessa?
Yes, yes. These types of chandeliers are quite complex. They're fully made out of handcrafted cut crystal, and so that's why they sparkle so beautifully. But there's a real kind of art to it. It's not perfect, and then you have to mix in more of a silver metal so it reflects all the light. We were worried about that initially because we use so many gold tones, and we did want the space to feel warm, but the supplier, the manufacturer, reassured us that that was the right way, and now that we see it, we 100% agree.
It was a nerve-wracking moment because they got installed and we weren't here when they were being installed, and so it's nice to see it for yourself first, but I think they look amazing. They really finish off the space.
Yeah.
And the proportions of them, they are quite big, and at points our client was really worried they may be too big for the space, but now you see all the furniture underneath, you have to see everything in context, and then suddenly it just makes sense. So when we're designing a colour palette and a fabric scheme for a project, our inspiration can come from multiple places, and this room is a really good example of how that happened. So we took inspiration from a couple of things. Firstly, we had this rug that our client sourced in India. It's absolutely beautiful, and it was such a great starting point for the design. We loved all the warm kind of taupe and brown colours and cream colours, but we knew we wanted to bring something else in that would add a little bit more drama. So looking out the window, we really found our inspiration from nature and the surrounding architecture. Through the window, you can see the beautiful Albert Hall with the red brick, and then in front of it, we have some green trees, and that was just the perfect color combination for a room like this that we want to feel cozy in the winter with the warmer rust tones, but also appropriate for spring and summer with the nice green touches. So it worked out really well, didn't it? It's quite an unusual colour palette.
It did. It's kind of more traditional colors, but I feel like we did it in a really fresh way. And
yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how we did the slightly lighter upholstery, which was something that our client was a bit concerned about at points, but it was important to have that to make it still feel a bit more contemporary and a bit lighter. We didn't want any granny chic vibes in here, did we?
No. And it's very hard wearing. It's been treated so they can rest assured, and then it has this beautiful kind of striated texture in it, which even though it's a solid, it still adds a lot of visual interest. And I love this kind of darker contrast piping to keep it feeling a bit formal but tailored.
Yeah, tailored, I like that.
Tailored.
When it comes to upholstery, we like to mix up the colours around, so you'll see that the bigger sofas are always the more neutral pieces, and then like we often do in our projects, we'll use the smaller pieces of upholstery to bring some colour. So you can see the rust colours have gone onto the bench, which sits in front of the fender, and then for the armchairs, we've gone for a really light green velvet that brings those colours to the other side of the room. When it comes to space planning in a room like this, you really want to centralise all your furniture around the main focal point. And in this case, it was the fireplace. And what that meant was when we centred all the furniture on the fireplace, we were left with this little slither of space at the back of the room. And we knew that our client loved to read. It has a beautiful view looking onto the park. And we thought, what better to do than a lovely armchair with a footstool, a little side table so you can sit here, enjoy the view and read your book. So this unit is a beautiful piece of joinery. It creates a focal point as well as the fireplace in the room, but it also houses all the AV and the TV. Even though this is a very formal and elegant room, it's also their main TV room, so it had to be multi-purpose and really hard working. So me and Vanessa will show you guys how that works. We have these beautiful doors that have been covered in a silk Fremantle wall covering. It's all hand embroidered, and we have these Armac Martin handles so you don't have to touch the silk. And when you fold those back, you have your, is this an 85 inch?
Sure.
We think it's an 85-inch TV. You can tell what we're interested in. We don't really care about TVs. We're just all about hiding them.
We made sure the TV fit, and that's what's important.
And the client wanted a big TV, so we gave him the biggest TV we could get. But I really like this because some pieces of joinery, when you try and get smart with hiding TVs, you have those pocket doors that fold in, they can be quite temperamental, whereas this one, it's so easy to hide away the TV. It still looks beautiful when it's the TV's on, and then when you're finished watching TV, you just fold back the doors and the room looks really elegant again. And the fluted wood, isn't there, Vanessa? Like, you've got the reeded at the top of the unit, and that runs through in the primary bedroom, and we see that in the guest loo as well with the fluting. I really like that detail, how you've got that thread that runs throughout.
Yeah, we wanted to push the boundaries, push the limits with this, and see kind of how much more detail we could add in so that it was that traditional feel that no space had kind of been unthought of. For the rest of this unit, we wanted to incorporate lots of different materials because it is such a big unit. It's nice to have some breaks. And then so within the shelves, we lined it in this beautiful silk wallpaper, which just lightens up the inside of the shelves and makes everything you put on the shelf really pop. And then down below, to make it a bit more hard wearing, we did this gorgeous poured resin finish.
It's really important to get the mix of accessories right. Obviously, we wanted to bring in some traditional elements, so we have the antique books, but we didn't want to make it feel too old and traditional, so we've mixed in some more contemporary pieces, like this sculptural necklace. It's like beaded, I don't really know what it is. And then we have some photo frames. These are from our collection with Addison Ross. This is launching in September. And some vases as well. You don't want to have too much because it's all about the wall covering on this, but just a few little touches to dress and finish the space.
Maybe you could care to explain, Vanessa, your contribution to the Addison Ross frames in the office? Though
my cat is in one of the frames.
Is it? Oh my goodness.
Can I show it?
Did we not get rid of it?
No,
oh, is that your cat?
It made it in. Sarah was very mad.
Oh, that's sweet. So this was not the initial picture.
No.
Just to give you a bit of background, so we have this collection of photo frames and we showcase them in our studio. And we thought it would be a nice idea to show everyone, because a lot of our team have dogs. So everyone contributed a picture of their dog and then we put it in the photo frame. It was really nice. Vanessa didn't have this picture of her cat initially. What was that creature?
I found an image online and I photoshopped my face onto a dog's body so that I could also be included in the framing.
It's all about inclusion.
Yes, yes. But instead, they finally allowed me to have a photo of my
And this
old
is a
cat.
lovely cat, but your cat was vicious though, wasn't it? I've heard the stories about this cat.
So in this corner of the room, again with keeping with the balance of traditional and contemporary, we and our clients' love of antiques. We sourced another antique piece for here, and it's an old writing desk. So it can fold down and you can pull up a chair and do some writing. But it fit the space perfectly. And then to balance it all out, we've added yet to be hung piece of artwork by Bianca Smith, which is just gorgeous, and it's contemporary but pulls in all the colors from the space, so really just feels like it makes sense there. And then in the corner, we always love to incorporate some greenery. It freshens up the space, and this beautiful tree is by Wildwood London, and they do an amazing job. So it just kind of, you know, makes this corner feel like it wasn't forgotten, and it's all part of the space and really works with everything else in the room.
This space is semi-open plan with the dining room that you can see behind us. When we originally came on board with this project, it had some really hideous pillars that were in between the living room and the dining room.
Not original.
Not original. That's why I say hideous. We would never remove an original feature. And it really didn't work for our client because they wanted the ability to host on a really high level. So if they had guests, they would be entertaining their guests in the living room. Meanwhile, they would have caterers and staff setting up the dining room. So having these doors allows them to separate the two spaces. And then when the dinner is ready, they have a grand reveal and you come on through to the dining room.
So Sophie was saying the two rooms are kind of open concept. So we did want to have some connection features between the two spaces. And a big one was taking that rust color that we saw on the bench and on some of the throw cushions and bringing that into a beautiful silk wallpaper that really makes the space feel very moody, but then connects visually to the other room. And again, we also did the same chandelier in this space as well. So that connection, when you see the door open, you see the same beautiful light reflected in the mirror, and it just brings the space together with it, you know, still remaining very grand. This table is expanding, so we can fit 12 people around it, which is great. And it picks up all the beautiful wood that we have in the Versailles floor. Our clients love a warm wood, so that was something we really incorporated into the space, but still, you know, balancing with lighter fabrics on the upholstery, with the Carrara marble of the fireplace. So again, you get that really light and dark balance. But I love when dining rooms are moody. I feel like at night when you're hosting a dinner party and you just have the flickering of candles and a fireplace and it's kind of more dramatic, it just adds to that, you know, cozy dinner feel. Yeah, so we've mirrored the fireplace again with this gorgeous carved marble mantle. And then we found these amazing antique Japanese Amari vases that just have some metal painted on them. It picks up all the light and reflects the colors in the space. So they're gorgeous. And then over here, again, with the mix of traditional and contemporary, we wanted to almost have a feel of a, you know, a china cabinet to display all of your servingware, but we wanted to also make it feel a bit more updated. So we've done these flat front burl wood lower sections that just have a ton of storage, and then this center open piece can either act as a bar if they're making drinks, or you can put all your kind of food serving plates and have more of a buffet style dinner. So this is a kind of a really great mix of different elements. We've got open storage and closed storage, and yeah, I think it's gonna be very useful for the clients.
So we've loved showing you guys around the living room. That is the end of part one. But before we finish, I just wanted to have a little fireside chat with Vanessa and give you a little bit of insight into behind the scenes of this project. So we started this project 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was not meant to take 2.5 years, but like all good things come to those who wait. And it's been a really sort of cohesive, collaborative project, hasn't it? We have quite a big team. Obviously, Vanessa was the lead designer, and I'm involved in all the designs, but we also had an interior architect. We have a whole team here today. We have Brett, Anthony, Sarah, Shauna, all helping us with the photo shoot and the final styling and installation. So it takes a whole team to do this kind of project. I think it's also the client, we should give credit to them as well.
Yeah, the client were extremely involved. They definitely had an opinion and quite, you know, a strong aesthetic that they wanted us to use, and it kind of pushed us outside of our own boundaries, which we always love, because at the end of the day, the client is the one living here, and we want them to feel like, you know, their lives are reflected in the space.
Yeah, it feels very personal to them, and I also love like the challenge of trying something new. Like, we haven't used this many antiques, we haven't used such a traditional design in our projects before, but we love all types of design, so it's really nice to have that opportunity to showcase something different.
Yeah, it's been such a joy working on this project. We have so many members of our team that are involved, and especially having, you know, it's all top down, so having an incredible boss that leads us every day and allows, you know, these beautiful spaces to come to life. So it's been, yeah, a pleasure working on it, and I'm excited for whatever comes next.
Definitely, and we really pour our heart and soul into this project and all of our projects, so it's so nice when clients trust us to be able to film it and photograph it and share it with all of you guys. We also feel like a little bit of our soul that we've put into the project re-enters our body, so I'm really excited to see the photographs and see this film. Okay guys, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching part 1 of this project tour. I really hope you've enjoyed looking around. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. You do not want to miss part 2. We're going to be showing you around all the bedrooms, and let me tell you, they are insane. Some of the most luxurious bedrooms we've ever designed. And if you'd like more regular updates, you can also follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Sophie Paterson Interiors, where we share completely different content. Otherwise, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.